Music is the space between the notes. That quote by Claude Debussy comes from a time before social media and late night emails, where today we worship hustle with cult-like frenzy. The videos we watch online are even edited to take out the pauses because even the slightest moment of breath feels like wasted time. We're taught to produce, and we are always on. In a world, are you ready for this? In a world of push notifications, back-to-back meetings, and one more thing before bed, one slightly anxious Ted Lasso wannabe. Hi, I'm Matt. We'll answer the call from the space between. Okay, it's a little dramatic. But is it though? We've been moving so fast, doing so much, that we've forgotten how to just be. Between micro-learning, doom-scrolling, expectation, and urgency, we've edited out the space between in our lives, and it's not just busy, it's killing us. I grew up in a family of apple farmers, 3 generations deep. My great-grandfather Roswell, my grandfather Alan, my dad Greg, and my uncle Dean, all farming the same orchard. And me? I'm what my mom calls a dipsy doodle. I'd meander through those rows of trees when I was supposed to be working. And that work ethic, somewhere between a hobbit and a house cat. But my imagination, just try to hold me back. I befriended more dragons, battled more imaginary armies in that orchard than I ever picked apples. But needless to say, the orchard business and I never really hit it off. Now, there was a time when I ran through those trees wide-eyed and wonder-filled. But eventually, I stopped seeing the orchard. I started seeing the people I loved, tired and burnt out. I felt the pressure, familial and societal. As a boy, I was learning that a man's value is conditional upon what he provides. And that belief stayed with me. It stayed with friends of mine too. Like my buddy, Harold Jarrett King III. Best name I've ever heard. I promised my kids I'd do that rhyme. We called him Kinger. He was kind, generous, loved by so many. He was my teammate, my roommate, my groomsman, my friend. But he carried a weight that none of us could see. Kinger died by suicide. Another young man gone too soon. Many of us don't talk enough about what this unsustainable pace, this unrelenting pressure truly costs us, how it silences voices, steals joys, and can convince even the most vibrant among us that we don't belong. Kinger used to like to say he wanted to live with no regrets. And after he passed, I found myself reading a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And the one that hit me hardest wasn't about doing more or achieving more. It was the opposite. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I felt that in my soul because I wasn't living that way either. And maybe that's why I kept thinking about my roots, about the generations that came before me. Like that orchard story, it starts long before me. It starts with my great-grandfather, Roswell. He was studying to become a doctor when the Great War broke out. He enlisted as a medic. He served in Flanders fields. And what he saw there changed him. Industrial warfare, horses charging machine guns. Onward, always onward. He came home, but he stepped away, slowed down, moved to the country, and started planting apple seeds. I like to see that as his act of rebellion against a world that only knew how to push forward. But what began as one man's act of solace became generational expectation. And I walked away from the orchard, and I felt like a failure. But forward is what I thought I had to do because onward, always onward. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I smiled. I became who I believed others needed me to be. I did more, and I said yes to everything. Codependent people pleaser at your service. Turns out, ignoring a problem is not a great idea. That pressure just went inward. I developed throat ulcers, angry, silent protests from a voice I kept ignoring. My body was begging me to slow down, but I didn't know how because I'd been conditioned to edit out the space between. Our bodies are wise, but we've been taught to override them because now chronic stress is almost a baseline condition of our lives. Nearly 1 in 4 Canadians say they suffer from extreme stress on a regular basis. Half the people in this room will or have already experienced a mental health challenge by the time they're 40. We've normalized exhaustion where we are physically shrinking our capacity to focus, to connect, and to recover. We've filled every beat, every bar, but without those spaces, music becomes noise. And when stress goes unchecked, it can become burnout, depression, and sometimes worse. This talk is 14 minutes long. In that time, 21 people worldwide will die by suicide. Some demographics are impacted more than others, but the uncomfortable reality is this is a crisis, and it's everywhere. In living rooms and locker rooms, in work trucks, in school hallways, in group chats, in the friend who doesn't want to be a burden. I didn't have the language for it then, but I can see it clearly now. I was trying to be the provider, the fixer, the rock, and I got so good at playing that part that slowing down felt, and if I'm honest, still feels terrifying. I remember being asked in a job interview, what motivates you? And I said, success. Ding, 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 great answer, right? What I was really saying, I'm scared, and I need you to tell me I'm enough. I didn't know exactly what I needed, but I knew something had to change. So my wife, Megan, and I moved back to Atlantic Canada. I left the corporate world, and I co-founded a business with my best friend. We wanted to rethink how people were hired and supported. I wanted to show my kids that you can thrive because of who you are, not despite it. And this isn't something that came naturally to me, but I asked for help. I found mentors who taught me about love, courage, boundaries, humility, wonder. I found retreat. Now get this, a term that has its origins in military parlance, but has since evolved to include self-reflection and pause, just like me. I am one with retreat. Is there a Nobel Prize for awesome? Because I'm on the fast track, baby. Hello, enlightenment. And then, life handed me a mirror. I had the chance to apply for the Amazing Race Canada. I was excited. The adventures, the stories I could tell my kids. I was gonna come home and I was gonna be super dad. I was expecting high fives and go dad cheers. And my oldest just looked at me and he said, Papa, I just want you to be home. That moment cut through everything. No more noise, just now. I was chasing opportunities, trying to be impressive, but healing, real healing, doesn't happen while sprinting. It happens in presence, in being, in the space between. Guided by the wisdom of a child, we kept building our business alongside our colleagues, but this time we slowed down. We focused on care, on relationships, on community. Less thought leadership, more thoughtfulness. We started offering our team retreats where we could connect with our purpose and ourselves. On one of those retreats, we asked, what does this business mean to you? And people shared words, phrases, stories. And then one person stepped up to the front of the room and she said she couldn't quite decide between nourished or supported. She placed her sticky note up on the wall, and it was a drawing of an apple tree. In that moment, I realized I hadn't walked away from an orchard. I'd planted my own. My great-grandfather planted trees after the war. I planted mine after burnout. And it got me thinking, some orchards nourish our bodies, but maybe the ones we need most right now, in this moment, create the space for us to remember who we are. Spaces we tend with intention. Spaces to breathe, to belong. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That's for all of us. Living is the beauty we really are when we take a moment and we can finally hear the voice inside. That's how we can honor those we've lost. We didn't get a chance to do so. It's how we can show up for ourselves, our sons, daughters, fathers, mothers, friends, neighbors, teammates, colleagues who may be losing themselves to the noise right now. That's how we can honor our inner dipsy doodle. That's how I honor Kinger. Now, to be clear, I do not have it all figured out, but here's what I try to do now. I live in the woods with my family. I write books about the power of unconditional love, about being worthy of love, not for what you do, but for who you are. I try to show up for Megan and the kids, and I'm still learning how. I try to show up for myself, and I'm still learning how. I take days off my phone, and I lead a business, but I'm not trying to be a thought leader. I'm trying to be a thoughtful leader. Because slowing down, it's not the opposite of growth. It's the condition for it. It's how we realize the orchard we've been longing for all along is calling from the space between. Thank you.